Welcome to my channel Techify with Adil. So today in this video we will be seeing the follow-up of Entra ID to create and manage users in Microsoft Entra ID. So under this section we will be also seeing a lab session how to create users and manage things later on following in this video later part. Okay, you can manage Microsoft Entra users, groups, and devices by using Azure Portal, the Microsoft Azure Active Directory module for Windows PowerShell, or Microsoft 365. You can use all these three sources to manage users, groups, and devices. You can add users to the directory and also add users to group. You can create two types of users. So one is member users, other is guest users. So our member users are accounts that your Microsoft Entra tenant manages. After creating a user, you can configure the user properties. Member users are mostly commonly created user type. Guest users are accounts that are your Microsoft Entra tenant doesn't manage, but you want to assign permissions to the users. A guest user account is a member user from another Microsoft Entra tenant or a Microsoft account. Although administrators can create these accounts are often created automatically when users share content with external users. For example, if you share a OneDrive file with a user, then a guest user account is created. There are essentially two ways to create and manage your users. As cloud identities by using only Microsoft Entra ID, this option is quickest and most straightforward method. Then as a directory synchronized identities by using on-premises directory service to synchronize with Microsoft Entra ID. This method has added complexity of installing and configuring synchronization software to ensure that directory objects synchronize successfully with Microsoft Entra ID. The first one is to create the ID only on Microsoft Entra ID only available there. The second part is synchronizing the on-premises directory with the Microsoft Entra ID, which is a bit complicated because of its process. You have to install and configure the synchronization software and also make sure the directory objects are synchronized properly to the Entra ID. So this is the steps we'll be seeing on. So to create and manage users with Azure portal, so first we will be logging into the Azure portal, then go to Microsoft Entra ID, then users and groups we create, select user, then we can create a user with the with all the features. Then finally we will be creating a user, and thus user is being created. It's just a straightforward simple process. Create and manage groups in Microsoft Entra ID. So just as groups in Active Directory domain services, simplify permissions management, Microsoft Entra groups streamline access management. When you enable directory synchronization, your on-premises ADDS groups can be synchronized to Microsoft Entra ID. So while the group membership remains consistent between ADDS and Microsoft Entra ID, the individual members are mapped from on-premises user accounts to their corresponding Microsoft Entra accounts. If the directory synchronization isn't in place, group management is exclusively cloud-based only. In Microsoft Entra ID, you can establish two primary types of groups. Security group. A security group is designed to manage resource access. By assigning permissions to a security group, you can control access based on group membership. For instance, if you're creating a security group named sales, you can grant this group access to a specific file share. Managing the sales group members then indirectly manages access to that file share. So you just managing the group which has the users in it, so that you can manage the access to that file share. You don't need to worry about the file share access. You just manage the groups which the users are in, so that you can manage the access to the file share already. Contrary to some misconceptions, Microsoft Entra security group aren't mail enabled. So that next group is Microsoft 365. A Microsoft 365 group facilitates access management for M365 services including Teams, SharePoint, Outlook, etc. For example, if you establish M365 group named sales, you can delegate permission to this group to access SharePoint site. Managing the group's membership then determines access to that site. M365 group are email enabled. So if you need a group or users to have email enabled, then you must add them to the Microsoft 365 group, serving dual purposes as collaboration group and email distribution list. To create a group in Azure, from the Entra ID, you have to go to the groups, then new group on the Azure portal. Here you can specify the group type, name and description. So you will be able to choose whether it's a security group or Microsoft 365 group. So only Microsoft 365 groups are inherently mail enabled. So security group doesn't have mail. So assign membership. So membership for a cloud-based group can be assigned or dynamic. When you create a group with assigned membership, you need to add or remove groups manually. So once you are adding, like when you're creating group, you are adding like 10 members, then until you remove them manually or add some more, the group will contain those 10 members only. When you create a dynamic member, then based on the query we set up, the Microsoft Entra objects, it will keep changing the membership groups, like the users will be added and users will be removed based on the query of Microsoft Entra objects. So dynamic membership can be based on users department, like so user A, it belongs to a sales department and we are setting up a query policy that this group will contain all the sales department users. When the users group has been changed, like there's a reorganization happening, then the user has been moved to some marketing department. When that happens, once the data in the Entra ID has been updated with the user's new group, then the user will be removed out of the sales group we created, because it's a dynamic membership. But in the case of normal assigned membership, we will have to manually move them out. You can create a membership rule based on a single attribute or an advanced membership rule where you can create complex queries based on multiple attributes. When you create a group with dynamic membership, you need to select whether it's for users or for devices. Many Microsoft 365 features can use user-based groups. Intune users device-based groups. Groups from on-premises ADDS with dynamic memberships don't synchronize with Microsoft Entra ID. This is an important thing to note. So on-premises ADDS with the dynamic membership does not synchronize with the Microsoft Entra ID. That's an important thing to note.